Traffic gets worse and worse around these parts every day. And we had a turkey picking around the old feed bunks. I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but I think it was just a hen picking around. I'm sure picking through whatever little bit of feed they drop every day. That's fine. I wish maybe her boyfriend would show up at some point here in the next, I don't even know how long turkey season runs, because I pretty much quit hunting about a week ago. I was having so little activity. Okay. Well, another West Tennessee good morning to you. A beautiful Wednesday. Gonna start out right here, checking on this group. Y'all get a quick head count for me. Let me know, do you see all 74? Ever since those couple of strays got back in here, we've been trying to get a head count every day, be sure everybody is still here. But anyway, we're gonna get some feed put out in the bunks and then get on up the road. Let me go. Excuse me, ladies. Excuse me, ladies. Excuse me, ladies. Excuse me, ladies. All right, now the challenging part. See if we can get a count on them by any miracle. Okay, now y'all tell me. Is that all 74? One thing that would probably help if I spread the bunks out a little. But they push them all around, they step in them, they crap in them. It's one disadvantage of having those homemade bunks that are on the ground. They're a good, cheap way to, come up with a lot of extra bunks. They're pretty darn durable. They can tear them up, but we've actually had these for a while and they hadn't. But yeah, because they're on the ground, they step in them, they crap in them, do all that. But let's see if I can count them. Okay, they're impossible to count. As you can just see, they're constantly, if they would all just stand in one spot, I could weave my way through, counting. But, you get to count and you're like, all right, I got that bunk done, you get to this bunk, but then 3 from that bunk go over there. And it's just like, forget it. But, yeah, the bulk of them are definitely here. I may, just because I'm stubborn, sit up here just another minute or two and try to count them. But we got to get up the road, got to get some other stuff done. Can at least confirm there was one of our, kind of 2 escapees. Those 30 and 41. I saw 30 a minute ago as well. But okay, could not get a definitive head count, and that's okay. I have to let my OCD, go, and just say, all right, we'll try again another day. It's real nice whenever I get down here, and they're like back off over on the other ridge, and I can put out their feed, and then they start coming up. I can count them as they walk up. That's about the only way. That, or when you're moving pastures, you can sit there at the gate, of course, and do the same thing, count them as they come through, kind of single file. But, all right, we are now headed to our local meat locker, pick up a half of beef. We kept just a half carcass for ourselves. So we're gonna go pick that up and then hustle back home, get it in the freezer. We got the coolers, so it won't thaw out very quickly, but we'll kind of go through that whole process with you. Okay, so we made it back home, picked up all our beef. We get a lot of questions all the time of, well, if I buy a half carcass, half a cow or whole cow, whatever, what do I actually get? What am I getting, especially for people that have obviously never done that before. So I've got, in this carcass, this is actually one of our smaller carcasses this year, 611 pounds total carcass weight. This is just half of it, sold the other half, so 305.5 pounds. And generally, a rule of thumb I keep, and of course it can vary based on a wide range of factors, your carcass weight is then going to translate into about 2/3 of that in actual meat that's going to end up in your freezer. We got our whole meat cuts in there. And pardon my really dirty coolers, but then there's our ground beef. So I tell everybody, lots of ground beef. If you want to keep all your roast, your round steaks, some people choose to have those ground just because they don't use those less tender cuts, not throw them in the crock pot, that kind of thing. But just kind of go through, because I don't even know exactly what this one yielded, but we've just got a kitchen scale there. We're going to weigh it all out and just see what we come up with. So started out, packed this freezer, pretty much this entire shelf right here, and these are about 1.5 pound packs, nothing but ground beef. We got a lot of pork, wild game, some other stuff in here too that we're trying to clear out, make some room, but 140 pounds total of ground beef with the cooler. So I need to go back and weigh the coolers, subtract that away. Yeah, a lot of ground beef. I'll double check. I think we might have had all the round steaks ground up, and so got just a little more ground beef than maybe we had to. So the coolers actually weigh more than I thought. They're right at 20 pounds. So we have 120 pounds of ground beef. And yes, I did double check. We had all the round steaks ground up. So if you keep all your round steaks, obviously, you won't get quite as much ground beef. So our whole meat cuts, which obviously, that includes a lot of different things. You can see chuck roast right there, shoulder roast, more chuck roast. There's some sirloins, there's some ribeyes, T-bones. So I am gonna weigh these out kind of individually, just so you know, probably at least break it down into roast versus steaks, and you get a little better idea of what we have of those. So all the various roast, like I said, kitchen scale earlier, it's actually our little bathroom scale. But the roast, again, that's all the roast: shoulder roast, rump roast, chuck roast, sirloin, tip roast, comes out to right at 36 pounds. And now the steaks, as Archie really wishes he could get a bite, totaled right at 38 pounds, maybe just a little over 38 pounds. So you'll see our total, 120 pounds of ground beef, 36 of the various roast, 38 total steaks, which again, you can get them cut up different ways. We had T-bones, ribeyes, and sirloins. Makes for 194 pounds of total meat making in the freezer. A lot of people are like, whoa, 305.5 pounds. That's the carcass weight, of course. That's before, your trimming. Depending on how you get it cut, I guess our only cuts that actually have bone in are the T-bones. So that's the bone. That's pretty typical, because that's going to come out to, what's 194 divided by 305.5. It's right at a 63% yield of a carcass weight actually ended up in our freezer, which is about typical. It's usually what we expect. We'll point out 611 pound carcass, and again, it just depends on what you're going for, who you're buying your beef from, whatever. That's on the small side for ours. Of course, those are some of the last 3 that we had killed. Naturally, we kept the smaller ones longer, just to let them eat a little longer. And I always sell my first ones first, so we always end up keeping a smaller one for ourselves. I guess it's a roundabout way of saying that. Our carcass, I think our biggest one was like 826 pounds, something like that. So, yeah, ideally we would like for them to all be probably at least 700, but I guess the way it goes. But, and of course, live weight, I don't ever worry about live weight. It does not matter to me or to the individuals I'm selling it to. Us not having a scale here on the farm, it would be neat to see like what percentage of our live weight actually ends up in the carcass. Then whenever I deliver them to the meat locker, they can hang them, before they even start cutting, and get a live weight, and then get us a carcass weight. But it's just an extra step for them, so I don't ever ask them to take that extra time. So anyway, we just got to get the steaks in the freezer. We're going to have to make some more room, but we're going to go ahead and I already set out a pack of ground beef in the refrigerator to thaw. Probably going to do the same with some ribeyes we'll eat here in the next day or two. Okay, so as we got that taken care of, I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's questions that I did not answer in that video, so if you've got them, certainly drop them below. And I don't mind sharing with you cost either, which from every, individual, depending on what they're doing, costs are going to vary. But by the time that someone, say, had bought that half cow from me, which the way we do it, because we use a custom processor, they basically buy the animal from me. They go pick up the meat just like I did for myself this morning. pay the meat locker for all the processing. But for that one right there, I was trying to do it in my head, you're going to end up with about a little under $1,500 in that. You know, that's for, you know, what I'm owed for the half the animal or half the carcass plus the processing. And so that comes out to about $7.50 a pound for what you actually put in your freezer. Because a lot of people want to know, like, what am I paying per pound? Because obviously that's the way you buy your cuts at the store. So yeah, for your steaks, you got a bargain if you want to look at it that way. Obviously, you can buy ground beef just at the grocery store for much cheaper than that. I don't know, what, 3 or 4, probably, I don't know, $4 a pound maybe. I don't know. Ground beef is one thing we never have to buy. We do buy steaks occasionally because yeah, you go through the steaks pretty quick. But yeah, and I tell people too, it's not so much about like I'm buying in bulk, so I'm going to save a bunch of money. I've never really broken it down. Maybe you do, you know, for what you're getting. It's probably pretty close. It's more about, one, just you got it in your freezer. You don't have to worry about going to the store for 6 months, a year, however long it lasts you. 2, you're buying kind of a somewhat of a premium product. You know exactly where it came from. You know all that ground beef. You know it wasn't blended. You know from multiple animals. Not that there's anything unsafe or wrong with that. I eat cheeseburgers at fast food places and joints and whatnot all the time where I know their beef is coming from, you know, wholesalers, whatever. But you know, it is a little different product. Some people, you know, like the idea of buying local. You know, it is in a lot of ways more sustainable. These animals aren't trucked all over the country, and then the meat, you know, and whatnot, and that sort of thing. So if you're into that, but I'm also too a big proponent of you can buy meat at the grocery store. I love people to buy meat from me. That's fantastic. You can buy your meat at the grocery store too. There's nothing wrong with that. I want you to eat beef, whether it's at a restaurant or whether you're buying it at the grocery store, whether you're buying it from me or somebody like me. It's safe, it's nutritious. You know, there's a lot out there on social media, especially nowadays. Kind of some folks that are doing kind of like what I'm doing, but they're almost, and it's not all of them by any means, but they're kind of fear mongering and trying to make people afraid to buy meat from anybody other than them. And that is stupid. I hate it. I hate it. I call them out on it. I usually jump in the comments. And of course, that's a dangerous thing to do on social media. It's kind of a waste of time, honestly. But, you know, the majority of our animals don't get fed out here and then killed and sold here locally. Majority of them go into just the regular wholesale and then retail or whatever meat supply chain in the country. Same animals raised in the same way, you know, generally speaking. So anyway, that'll be my rant for this video. You don't have to buy your beef from me. You don't have to buy it from another small farmer rancher. That's fantastic if you do, if you can afford to drop, you know, a big chunk of money like that at one time and have the freezer space for it. But if you don't, have confidence in buying, you know, meat week to week at your local grocery store. Nothing wrong with that. All right, let's go check some cows, Sadie. Well, the 2 of our cows that I know are yet to calve, neither of them look to have done anything since yesterday afternoon. So Woolly Bear over there, 536 right there, which is kind of what I expected. Neither of them, as of yesterday evening, looked like they were just on the verge of calving at any moment. Do need to look over these Herefords as well. Some of them that we're not quite sure when they'll calve, but yeah, she's made her a pretty good bag there. I need to go back and look at our exact breeding dates, but they shouldn't be able to be much longer based off when they were last exposed to the bull last summer. Yeah, Woolly Bear, much the same. Yeah, she's really making a bag, but doesn't really have much swelling, you know, up there at the rear end yet. So, all right, nothing too exciting going on out here. But I guess I should also point out, obviously we pregnancy checked some of these cows a week ago, or about 6 days ago. Yeah, I had a weird week last week. I was actually off on Thursday rather than my typical day, like today being Wednesday. But all 5 of those cows we sent blood in on that we were pretty sure were pregnant, almost certain from palpation. I was right. They were all 5 bred. They are all 5 bred. So those will be fall calves. actually my buddy Nick, he's really interested in several of them. So we may not end up keeping them all. So what are we gonna do now with the rest of our day? It's just now about 11:30. And I don't know. We've got a few projects that I'm not super looking forward to. One of them's not gonna be too bad, and that is you just wash the M4, fed with it all winter, while the is it M? I can't hear it. I get all my tractor. The 135. Is it M135? I can't even remember. Yeah, M135. While it was out of commission, of course, when it came back, it was, at least the outside, completely cleaned up, looks practically new. So we need to do the same thing for the M4. Don't know if we'll do that today, at least partially because pressure washer needs a little maintenance done on it. I'm not entirely sure if it's something I can do or if I'm gonna need to take it into our local small engine shop. Another project, working on getting our post set in the new barn. Those new panels we got like a month ago. That's not super pressing. Just need to do it sometime. I would say we need to do it before it gets too hot. It's actually gonna be 88 today. See, I'm wearing the ag gear. We call this the Farm Pro line. Lightweight shirt. As always, you can check out this and all the other stuff at aggearstore.com. Discount code Hurricane, 15% off. Then also, we've got some hay that's pretty much ready to cut. We kind of had an early spring, and a lot of the hay that we do cut for the cows. There's some ryegrass, a lot of fescue, some clover, and the fescue's already heading out. It may be even a little over mature for what's ideal. But in typical fashion, we have rain all in the forecast, so not gonna make the same mistake we did last year, or at least gonna try not to, in terms of getting too eager to get in the field and cutting hay when there's rain is imminent. So as I look at our 10-day forecast, our rain chances starting tomorrow: 74, 52, 50, 63, 51, 58, 52, 46, and 44% all the way through the 10th. So, yeah, does not look like we're gonna be cutting any hay anytime super soon, but you never know. I hate those 50% chances. It's like, golly, it might rain, it might not. But anyway, so we need to get the disc mower hooked up. Be sure all is working on it. All our hay equipment, we parked it last year, knock on wood, everything was in good working condition. Just make sure we don't need to make any significant repairs like as we're heading to the field here in a couple of weeks. I think what we'll do is we'll drag that pressure washer out, see if I can diagnose what the issue is with it, and get it going. And yeah, if we can, we may go ahead and wash that tractor. Okay. All right, see if she'll start. Well, I guess any excuse for not washing the tractor today is gone. So, I guess we're gonna pull the tractor out and wash it. Do need to get a longer hose. Got my Flexzilla water hose we got from agzaga.com. Of course, you can always shop with them. Also, give you another discount code. Use the Talk Dirt discount code. All caps, all one word. They're a proud sponsor of the Talk Dirt to Me podcast. I may talk about that a little more later on. But yeah, I'm gonna get my longer Flexzilla hose, actually out of the horse trailer, and hook it up. That way we can get it out here where we're not washer decided it didn't have a problem. I don't know what in my mind, I'm trying to remember when I tried to use it and what I thought was wrong. But anyway, yeah, hey, nice to have a good little surprise there for once. But yeah, we didn't just put the whole total spit shine on it, basically just sprayed her off. Yeah, I already see a spot or two I missed, but also one of those things like, do I really want to like have it showroom ready when I'm just about to put it back in the hayfield here, hopefully sooner rather than later. It is nice to get it cleaned off too, because we do need to change the oil in it just before we really put it to work this hay season. But we'll let it sit out in the sun and dry there for the next hour or two. You have not taken the calf catcher off because those of you longtime viewers of the channel know number 536, kids call the cow of death. She's one of those two. She's that tiger stripe that is yet to calve. So hopefully she'll calve just here in the next few days. And then conceivably we should be done with the calf catcher for a while. But yeah, now I know my wife has a project for me with the pressure washer. Need to pull out the cattle trailer and spray it out. Well, now it seems like I've wasted part of the day. Anybody else like that? Like when it's a nice sunshine, pretty day, you're just like, I got to be outside doing something. I can't waste this time not being productive. Which I guess I've been somewhat productive. Been working on our family vacation getaway this summer. Plan on going to Glacier National Park out in Montana. But my gosh, of course, it's such a big place. You know, looking at flights, rental cars, where are we gonna stay? We're gonna stay here a couple nights, there a couple nights, yada yada. You know, like all the rules on like how you have to get a park entry pass. My gosh, if y'all have any advice on Glacier, yeah, feel free to drop it below in terms of best parts of the park to enter, where to stay, whatnot. We're gonna do a horseback ride. But anyway, walk back down here to the barn. Kayla wants me to get the fans back where they can be plugged up for the horses, because yeah, it's nearly 90 degrees today. We had unplugged all those because we had to plug in the heated water buckets. Well, we had the opposite problem when it was about, well, 80 or 90 degrees colder than it is today. But get those hooked back up. One thing I did want to hit on, I've gotten a few questions about this. It's gonna be more of a discussion, so for those of you that are here just for the action, you may want to go watch one of our other videos. But I'll not get too long-winded. But the bird flu in cattle, how big of a deal is it? Which for those of you who don't know, bird flu, or the highly pathogenic avian influenza, yes, they have now confirmed that it can infect cattle. Now, the real quick version of it is the cows barely get sick. They recover. There hasn't been a single cow die of it that we know of. Basically, the only reason they've even been able to confirm it is that there's been some dairy cows that they get a little sick, maybe run a fever, have a slight drop in milk production, and they get over it. You know, and people have kind of wondered, was it in beef cattle? And I know some cattle people think we've probably had it in cattle for decades, just haven't ever really noticed, or you know, it's not a big deal because they don't get very sick. You know, I think about it, one of my cows, if she had it, there's a good chance I wouldn't know. I mean, a slight drop in milk production, even if she's nursing a calf, which I guess obviously if she's lactating, she's nursing a calf. I mean, most of the cows are good enough milkers that even if she has a 20% drop in production, yeah, calf may be a little hungrier for a few days, but he's not going to starve. She gets over it, boom, you never know anything happened. But obviously they're testing like crazy for it now, so they're finding it in all these dairy cows. You know, we just haven't had that testing capability for very long. I would venture to guess, and I don't know if it's a good thing to say it or not, but if you tested all the beef cattle in this country, somehow could snap your fingers and do that, I guarantee you'd find it. But again, it's not a big deal. The big deal of it is they've kind of used it to tank cattle prices and kind of be a, you know, a bearish signal to the market, which is stupid. It shouldn't matter, but you know, the meat packers, you know, they do whatever they can to suppress cattle prices, and this is just one little thing they can try to, you know, hang their hat on. But you know, they have found it, remnants in milk but it's dead. In pasteurized dairy products, it is no risk. They're only finding virus particles. I think the only person that has caught it, if it's still the only one confirmed, was a dairy worker that was drinking raw milk at the dairy, which I'm not going to get into that debate, but yeah, if you're drinking pasteurized milk, even if it comes from a cow that was known to be infected, it's not going to infect you. Two, that these cows that are known to be infected, that milk is being dumped, it's being discarded, it's not going in the milk supply. But for the instance where, they don't know that a cow's sick, as long as that milk's pasteurized, you're at no risk. So it's a whole lot to do about nothing for the most part. But anyway, got a little long-winded. Hope that answers that little question. I've had several people ask about it, and so there it is. Also hinted earlier when I was talking about going to Agzaga and using the Talk Dirt discount code, the podcast. I know if you've listened to the podcast or if you've listened to me talk about it, we do hit on the Fox TV show, the reality show, Farmer Wants a Wife. Got a really cool guest that's coming. It's going to be here to record with us in a little over an hour. And so excited to talk to them about the show. This episode won't air as far as the podcast until next Friday. So that'll be this Friday will be the 3rd. So that'll be on the 10th because we're going to talk to this person. And they can't reveal anything about the show before the show actually ends, and the finale is next Thursday. So that way we can have full conversation. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it is someone from the show. We're going to have them on. We've had a previous contestant on the show on, Brandon Rogers, one of the farmers. Be excited to do this one. They're coming in, going to do it in studio with us, so that's awesome. But yeah, you need to be listening to Talk Dirt to me. But yeah, I'm going to get these fans hooked back up, get the tractor pulled back inside, and then I probably need to be getting a shower and getting ready to go do that podcast. So, as always, aggearstore.com, use discount code Hurricane. We appreciate y'all watching. I can tell you tonight, I'm probably going to eat, we're going to go out to eat after we do the podcast. We'll probably go to the Mexican place, one of those, because that's about all we have here in town. And we have a few other places, but if we want to have a nice cold adult beverage and relax, that's a pretty good spot. I'll probably have chili Colorado, steak margaritas, something like that. I'll be eating beef. You can guarantee that. We got all that beef in the house. Again, any questions you have about how that whole process works, we don't ship and sell. We use a custom processor, so it's not USDA inspected, so we can't technically sell the meat, which is whatever. We're selling the animal, not the meat, whatever, government BS. I'm not going to go into that either, not right now. So, but anyway, I've rambled on plenty. We appreciate y'all watching. Y'all eat beef and God bless.